Have you ever wondered what it takes to bring a comic book from concept to finished product? Let's find out. What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is going to be kind of a weekly one-shot where I deal with the creation of a comic book. So as you guys probably know, I'm running a podcast where we're creating comic book stories inside an hour or less, and then also making the actual finalized art. So what I'm going to do is take you through the step-by-step process for creating the actual finished pieces based on principles that I found in similar books. So things like the DC Guide to Coloring and Digital Lettering, wherever I can fit that on the camera. Also other great resources like Nate Picos over at blambot.com, and a number of different online things. So this is my goal, to try and put my money where my mouth is, to create a comic book with a couple of my friends, being the writer, doing the lettering, and then also having somebody else be the artist. People that are passionate about comic books, creating comic books in an effort to create something that you guys enjoy. Inside this video, we're going to be going over art preparation and what needs to happen before you even think about starting to letter it. Okay, for a lot of people, this is going to be a really familiar view. This is Adobe Photoshop CS6, and it's what I've been familiar with and what I've been working with for quite some time when it comes to the actual creation of art, graphics, and storytelling pieces. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take our scans that were hopefully scanned in at a bitmap in a black and white scheme, hopefully, but that's not necessarily always the case. So when we go into our open, we're going to go to our different assets. The ones that I keep them under, they're going to be actually for comic book assets, actually. So comics, Howl. This is a new comic that we're going to be working on, and we're going to take page 5, because that's probably the one that needs the most work, and we're going to hop into there for you. So that's going to open that up. And what you see is that this was scanned in as a JPEG. Preferably, you would want to scan it as a bitmap file, particularly in black and white, so that way you don't necessarily have to do a lot of adjustments on it. And it looks like it was scanned in upside down. But what we do is we go to our image. We're going to do our image rotation. That gets us 180 degrees. And as you can kind of see, this scene is supposed to be a very moody, dark scene where we're dealing with a lot of cast shadows from the moon. There's a person in the background. There's a little bit of a smoky contour. There's a lot of space that you're going to have to color if you really want to get the pop out of this. But even in a black and white scene, it feels like it should be a relatively contrasty, powerful piece. But with the scan as a JPEG, with it scanned in as a color piece, it's not necessarily going to have that kind of vibrance, that kind of contrast. So what we're going to do is go to our image adjustments, we're going to go to our levels, and then we're going to break things up. So what you see is that this section here is where your black information is, this is where your white information is, and the goal is to create more contrast. And since preview's clicked, you're going to see what happens as I change this slider. So as I pull this back up, you're going to get darker and darker blacks that are going to go to the point where they are all black. So anything that is supposed to be black is black at this point in time. And the same thing on the white side of the slider. So not only do you keep pulling so that way you actually get rid of a lot of the different pieces, but we want to retain a little bit of that smokiness, so you minimize a bit of that white information so that way the things on the end that aren't necessarily white, the off-whites, those are going to be in the starkest white. So that's bringing a lot of vibrance. You can see a lot more contrast, a lot more pop inside that. We're also going to go to adjustments, and we're going to take our saturation, because a lot of this, because of the scanning, seems very yellow. And we don't want necessarily yellow. We don't want that to be the kind of color scheme there. So we're taking our saturation slider and we're going to bring that all the way down. So now everything is in grayscale or black and white, which is what we really want to work with. We're going to be cleaning up a lot of this as we go through the process of actually creating the comic book and going through and doing some of the refinements, some of the edging pieces, doing the lettering on this. And so there's not a lot of lettering on this page, so I'm going to use another example for something a little bit later. But this is going to get you a little bit better idea as to what a final prepped piece really looks like before you even go into the actual art stage. So while we save that, make sure that everything's 100% on that respect, we can actually go down and we can take a look at some of the other finalized pieces for the upcoming comic that is Howl, a little 5-page preview. So we've got these scans here. So you've got first page, our second page, which is the one that we just finished. And then we jump into the third page, page number 4, which is dealing with a completely different setting, and then page number 5. So as we kind of get into the rest of this series, I'm going to show you the step-by-step process for different pieces of making this work. So the next one that I'm going to be doing is the preparation for actually lettering the comic book, and I'm going to letter an entire page. But I think that this is a good introduction, and depending on how much you like this kind of instruction, these like how-to videos, or just simple explanations of what really goes into the process of making a comic book, that's going to determine how many more of these I do in the future and how involved we're going to kind of get. So if it's something that you like, hit the like button. Don't forget forget to subscribe to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and now the creation of comic books themselves. So hit me up in the comments down below and we can start a conversation. But as always, have a great day, guys.